Welcome! Welcome to Hug Nation. So excited to talk to you today. Today's topic is choosing what you answer. Hold on. Hi. I'm actually okay, but I'm okay. I can help you with that. Okay. Okay. Okay, see, I almost never answer my phone anymore because it's something that I've now been able to become aware, and that it takes me so out of my path. I'm very aware that if a phone call comes in, whatever flow of thought I'm on, I have to go and change direction. So that, for one, is an easy one for me to get in control of where I'm putting my attention, what I'm answering, and where I'm steering my life. But there's so many other places where I need so much more practice, and that's what I want to talk about today. I just saw a statistic that some huge percentage of people check their phones and their email and do social media in bed before they leave their bed, when they wake up in the morning. And every productivity expert I've ever read warns against that so much. If you start your day checking your email, you are basically saying, "Oh, hey, everybody who has access to my email, what do you think I should do?" And then you start responding. "Ooh, that needs to be done. Ooh, that needs to be done." And no, you're not steering anymore. You're now in reactive mode. And I am so guilty of this. And it's one of those things where if you don't consciously say, "I'm going to do this," there is a whole lot of people that would be happy to set your agenda. And that's what choosing what you answer lets you set the agenda of your day and of your life. Now, I had a mind-blowing, mind-opening experience years ago when I got to watch a media PR specialist coaching the CEO of a startup that I was working at. And he was about to go on TV, he was going to be interviewed, it was a big deal, and we were all excited, and so they wanted to make sure that they maximized this opportunity. And so the media specialist is like, you want to make sure that you say the name of the company, the full name, you want to use the URL, you want to enunciate, you want to pause, make sure that and then she said something that just kind of went, "Oh," and she said, "Now, you don't have to answer every question." What? If you don't have a good answer to something, just say, "Next question." To me, I was like, what? You can do that? You can say, "I don't want to answer that"? And the truth is, in that situation, especially because they're not going to play the entire interview, they're probably going to edit it and take clips. So why, if you know you've got golden answers, give them those and nothing else. You know who is really good at this, or I should say really bad at this, is presidential candidates. If you ever watch the debates, the question would be like, "Candidate, could you address one thing that is wrong that you would fix about the economy?" They go, "I'm glad you asked that question. But first, we really need to talk about immigration. The terror to the north is coming down." It's like, what? Did that have anything to do with the question? But the candidate, they're like, "I don't care. I don't care what you're asking. I am not going to let you set my agenda. I am going to take the path that I want, that makes me look the best, that puts me in power." And you know what? The interviewer, the one person with the questions, is like, hey, this is not what I ask. Everyone else very quickly forgives you. Everyone else pretty much starts just accepting the path that you forged. And that's another thing to remember. It's very easy when someone asks a question or makes a complaint to put all your attention on that person. And what happens is there might be hundreds of people paying attention to the conversation. In a presidential candidate, maybe presidential debate, maybe millions of people watching. And so letting specific people set the tone could be very dangerous. It's one reason why if someone yells out something or protests, as someone on stage, you may or may not even want to address it because suddenly you're now in the negative zone when you don't have to be. And so being aware of that and then deciding, do I want to steer this? I mean, maybe the thing that they yell out, it's like, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. Now that gives me an opportunity to take this where I want it to. I do want to address the pictures of me naked in the penguin encounter. Now, I assure you I had consent from every one of those penguins, and the polar bears, they actually paid several of their future fish coupons so that they could watch. Okay, that was maybe a bad example, but my point is that you can take a negative and choose, do I want to go down here and address it or not? I used to, when I had to have comments, I would post something and it would be, oh yeah, that's great, I agree, that's happened to me too, oh good idea. And then somebody would go, oh yeah, well that's easy for you to say, try that if you're in a wheelchair, and I would get defensive and suddenly be like, oh, okay, well, ignore all the people that are being supportive, and then I would then address the one voice that was not really trying to have a conversation, but trying to just like knock at me. And so suddenly I turned the conversation and I took it off of my path with the way I want to be feeling and thinking, and I take it into the arena of the hater. And now everybody that's listening is in the muck with me, in the mud. And it's hard to ignore that because you feel a responsibility. I feel a responsibility. I feel like, you want to be liked, you want to be understood. And so if somebody doesn't like or understand you, you want to convince them. But in the process, you now take everybody who already was in a positive place and pull them into this negative place. I'm not saying that you just never address dissenting opinion. I'm saying that you do so by choice so that you're still setting your own path. I do this every once in a while when somebody comes to the chat room and they start saying, are you gay? Are you fag? Hey, gay fag. And there's a few ways that you can address that. The smartest and easiest is just to ignore it. And if you do that in the chat room, pretty soon that person's like, how come I'm not getting the attention I need? Gay fags all over the place. Or sometimes I'll say, oh, excuse me, individual that's so confused about the world and what these words you're using mean. Let me explain to you some things about gender and about sexuality and about who I am in the world. I am not defined by what and who I love. I prefer to be called sexy to the core. And if I want to sleep with a man, I certainly will. And they go, I don't understand. But suddenly the chat room's laughing at me. But I got to make sure that I do that by choice on my terms. Otherwise, I'm defensive. I'm now weakened. And there's blood in the water. And it's just an ugly scene. And everybody's now witness to this fight, really, as opposed to a well-calculated steering of direction to clarify a path so that you're in where you want to be. One of the transformative experiences of my life was being on the game show Studs. And there was a lot of lessons involved with that. One of them was that there's no such thing as somebody being out of your league. There is no hierarchy of people in the world. There's just people that you resonate with and you respond to and that you can have a vibrational connection with. Another one of the lessons I learned was a powerful reminder of this idea of choosing what you respond to and how that then dictates what happens and the space that you get to live in after that choice. So the way the show is set up is there is the same two guys date the same three women, and then the women after the dates talk to the producers, tell them about the dates, and they write these statements about the dates. And then on the show, we all get together, they show us the statements, and the guys have to decide who said what about them. So there was one, I was a little insecure at the time. I was a little scared, and there was one of the kind of rounds of the show. One of the rounds of the show, the responses to me was,
We asked ladies, what they noticed about your looks first, John. And here's what they told us. One woman said, those hungry tiger eyes brought out the jungle beast in me. Second woman said, his pearly whites are brighter than 1,000 shooting stars. And the third woman said, big hair, tiny body. Oh, my God, it's Cousin It.
Now, I remembered that a certain woman commented on my hair right when we met. So I knew that she said that about me. So I said, big hair, tiny body. Oh my God, it's Cousin It. That was Adrian. What I did by doing that was I then set the scene for the next 5 minutes of the show as the host and the girls had a conversation about my body size, my big hair, and how I looked like this character on television. It was not my shining moments. And as I watched the archive, shamefully, repeatedly, I'm reminded of, oh my gosh, if I was thinking straight, I would have said, who cares about getting a point in the round? Set the stage. Bring up a topic that lets all these pretty girls talk about something good about me. And life is like that so often. Do I want to take this opportunity? There's always an infinite number of things and options and ideas. Do I want to put my attention on one that will create a conversation and an experience that I enjoy? Or do I want to focus on something and bring people into a conversation that's going to make me feel icky and embarrassed, stupid? It's really just like crap or cone. It's deciding, oh, wait a minute. Do I want to be focused on the crap or the cone in this conversation? Do I want to be focused on the crap that's being flung at me? Because it's crap or cone then taken to a conversation, to people, to phone calls, to emails, and deciding how much of this do I want to steer with me. And this has come up with me a lot lately as I've seen people that I am around, as well as myself, having to address requests of time, of energy, and having to say, it's very hard when you worked your whole life trying to be liked to say anything to somebody that's going to make them be disappointed or frustrated. But we need to learn to practice saying, no, I'm not going to answer the phone right now. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing and address the issue that you just emailed me. I'm not going to change my agenda to meet your desires. I don't mean necessarily ignore them, but you may just say, sorry, I don't have time for that right now. And actually learning some phrases that you can use to practice saying no can be very helpful so that you're not, okay, I'll do it. Part of that is remembering that you do not have to explain. You do not have to give a reason. This is not your boss that you have to make an excuse for why you can't do what they're asking you. That's a different situation. When you're an employee, you got to make a case for yourself. When you're boss of your own life, you just got to make a choice. So learning to say, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that right now, or that's not going to work for me, but keep me posted. All of those things are not passing judgment on your thing. It's not saying that you shouldn't do it. It's just saying that it's not something that I'm going to do. And that is not by any means any sort of, I don't think, I mean, it's the good kind of selfish, because it's saying, you know what? I am valuing my path, my mission, my energy. And it is a disservice to the world to constantly put my agenda on the back burner as I let other people dictate how I'm going to use my time and energy. When you do start to, I mean, it really is part of the reason you practice it, because it's tough. It's almost like a big like surging of self-esteem to say no. No. I know what I want to do right now, and it's this. And it's all part of that path of inner growth, part of the path of heart alignment, part of the path of getting present, aligning with integrity, being in integrity and aligning with love. And then if you can remind yourself that and be in that strong place, then it's so much easier to go, oh, That sounds very interesting. It's not something I have time for right now. Let me know how it goes. And when we're in that place, our no is a yes to the greater good. It's a yes to the you that is becoming divine and wonderful and powerful. So, to everyone that I have said no to in the last few weeks, you're welcome! And to everyone else, I say thank you and yes. Thank you for being you. Thank you for listening and honoring who you are as part of the greater, massive network of this planet. Thank you. I love you. Namaste.
You only live once. Enjoy the color.